Hey everybody, at this point you should have installed XAMPP from the previous video, and you should have changed your database password, and you should have two green lights like you see on my screen here for Apache and MySQL. If you haven't done this or you don't know what I'm talking about, you need to go back and watch the other video that's before this one. And this video that we're looking at right now is for my CSIS 1550 students for Windows users. There's a different one if you're in the 2440 class and also if you're a Mac user. But this is 1550 database class for Windows. The first thing we're going to do is log into the database terminal or the command line, which is where we can access directly with commands on the command line the database, the tables, and everything in it. We're going to learn all about how to use the command line another time, but we're going to learn just enough today to install the databases we need for the course. So if you have this open right here, you just have to click on Shell right there, and it brings up this little terminal window. Now inside of here, you're going to log in by typing the following command and wait until I'm done typing it and you look at yours and compare it to make sure you don't have any typos. So it's MySQL space dash dash, there's no space between the dashes, then it's user equals root, all of that's together with no spaces in it. The only space so far is right there after MySQL. Now after the word root, double dash, password equals 1550. I'm assuming you use the password I recommended. If not, you need to put whatever password you used. Make sure yours looks just like that and you hit enter, and you will get this prompt right here. Now if you do not see this MariaDB prompt, then something's gone wrong with your install. First thing to check is make sure you have a green light here. Second thing I would check is click right here on MySQL admin to see if you can get in here. If you cannot get in here, which I can get in obviously, but if you cannot get in here, then something's funny with your database connection. But if you can get in here, then your connection is correct. You may be just typoed here. So make sure you type it in correctly. Either way, you're now in the command line, and all we're going to do is just install the source file that I gave you. It's actually in Canvas and you can see it, and you download it, and here it is right here on my desktop. And here's how you do it. You just simply type in the word source, again only from this MariaDB prompt. Type in source space, make sure the space is there, then drag that file right there onto your terminal and it'll fill it out. Now some of you, maybe your username or wherever the file path is has a space in it, like maybe my file path name was something like jstone space 54. If there is a space in there, what will happen when you pull this in, it'll end up coming in automatically with quotes around it like this. Oops. If it does that, you need to delete those quotes. They should not be there, so get rid of them. For whatever reason, if they show up, just get rid of them. But now you have source, you've dragged this in and it has this file path to that file, and just hit enter and watch the magic occur. And now when you're done here, you can see Colonial, Solmaris, and Tau. Those are the three databases that we use for the class. What you'll need to do, actually, there's an assignment that requires proof that you've installed the databases. I need a screenshot of this right here. That's what I need a screenshot of. You submit that and that'll be the proof that you've installed the databases for the class. The next thing we need to take care of here is making it a little bit easier for us to log into the database. I'm going to close out of this terminal here. You can just type exit and then exit again. And now what we don't want is for every time you come in that you have to come in here and click on the shell and then go type in the password and all that stuff. You'll notice if you close this right here, it actually doesn't really close. Look over here in your little menu over here. It's still there. As long as it's there, then if you right click on it, you can go show hide, and those are still green and everything. As long as those are green, you can get into the database and you can use the command line and everything. But why bother having to click on that when we can do this fun little shortcut we're about to do? What we're going to do is write a batch file. Okay, a batch file is back from the old days of the DOS operating system where you can write a few commands and just have them run all at once in a batch, if you will, and it'll just do whatever you want. So what we're going to do is write a batch file that logs us into the database. It's super easy here. There's a couple things we need to do to prepare for it. Thing number one, you need to hit the window key on your keyboard followed by the R. Window R. And that brings up this little run dialog box right here. In that dialog box, type these letters, CMD. That stands for command, which is for the command line. And what I want you to look at is this right here on your screen, this file path. You need to remember that file path. So just leave this sort of on the side here as a reminder. Once we make the batch file, we're going to need to save it into that file path right there. All right, let's open up our text editor, which would be either Notepad++ or Sublime Text or whatever you downloaded in the previous video. This is very easy. We're going to type a command here that is cd, which stands for change directory. And then we're putting a backslash, which means go to the root. And then XAMPP, we're going to the XAMPP folder. Now this assumes that you left the default settings when you installed XAMPP. If you installed it somewhere else, you're going to have to find where you put it. So hopefully you left it with the defaults. So XAMPP/MySQL /bin, which is short for binary, right? So I'm going to show you, I'm going to open a second command right here so I can leave that other one off on the side. If I type this on the command line, cd backslash, just that alone, it's saying change directories to the root, and now you'll see I'm in the root. If I'm here and I say cd XAMPP, I can now change from the root to XAMPP because XAMPP was in the root. Inside of XAMPP, if we do a little listing here, we can see that inside of here there is a MySQL folder right there, right? So if I say cd MySQL, and then if I look again, you'll see that the bin is right there. There it is. So I can say cd bin, right? So that's all that we're doing with this command here. So I'm going to exit out of there. You don't need to do any of that little stuff I just did. I'm just sort of showing you what those commands do. So come back to here now. If I'm in here right there and I run this whole command, again, you don't need to do this. Just watch what I'm doing here. When I run that, it takes me to that directory. Once I'm in that directory, the next step, what I want to do is say MySQL, this is what we did a minute ago, -- user equals root, space -- password equals 1550. And if I were to do that command right here, it would actually log me in to Maria. But I don't want to bother with that. I'm just going to exit out of there. So if I were to run these two commands back to back, it would switch me to that directory, then log me into MySQL. Right? Now, when you type things like cd, whatever, a little message pops up in the command line that says, directory has been changed. And when you type this, it'll say something like, you've been logged in. You can suppress that with an @ symbol right before each of these statements, which says, just don't show me any of the warnings or whatever. You can also just do this. At the very top, you can say echo off. What that means is all of the commands don't echo anything. But then, of course, echo itself will say echo has been turned off. So we want to prevent that. We just say @echo off. So suppress that line, and then the phrase echo off means suppress all the other lines as well. Just run the commands and be done with it, right? So if I save this as a batch file, then I run that batch file on the command line, it'll just log me right into the database. So here's what we're going to do. File, save as, and now this is the important part where I told you to keep this window here. You need to navigate to that folder there. C users JStone is mine in this case. So C and then users and then JStone 54. Inside of there, we're going to call it, you can call it whatever you want. I'm just going to call mine MySQL. That makes some sense. .bat. BAT is short for batch. Go ahead and click save. And now you'll see it gives you some syntax highlighting. But now this file is saved. And if we close it out, we can close. If I were to right here type it, MySQL, that's it. Don't have to type the bat part, just MySQL. It logs me right in. Well, it's even easier than that. I'm going to close out of there. If I want to log in with that batch file, all I have to do is hit Window R, and then right there where it says command, just type MySQL. And bam, I'm logged in. That will work every time as long as your XAMPP is actually running. Now, when you reboot your machine or there's other circumstances, sometimes the XAMPP will shut down. So before doing any homework, or when you come to class, if you're actually a campus student, or before doing anything related to the class, make sure that XAMPP is running. If it's not, then you'll just want to start it up. Now, to make it easier to start it up, what I want you to do real quick, let me show you what happens if you happen to have closed out XAMPP because of a reboot or whatever reason. I've already shut mine down. And if you go to try to log into your database now, you just get this blank window here staring at you, and it just kind of freezes up. It doesn't really do anything. And then after a minute, it'll shut down. So you can't get in. You might be panicking. Well, how do I do my homework? I can't do any assignments. Well, all it means is that XAMPP just needs to be restarted. You look over here whenever that happens, and you'll see your little orange icon is missing. So how do you get to XAMPP? That's a whole different story. It's kind of a pain. So we're going to create a shortcut. So the first thing you got to do, you can't really find it on the start menu, which is annoying. Not sure why that is. So what we're going to do is go into Windows Explorer, and the way you do that is you hit Window E, and then you need to navigate down to your C drive, and then find the XAMPP folder right there, double click it, and then scroll down, and you want XAMPP Control. That's the one you want. Now, if you just double click on that, it'll start everything up just fine. But I don't want you to have to do that every time that you need to start up. So what I want to do is right click on it, and then I'm going to click on here, Pin to Start. So now it's just going to pin it right here on my start menu. So now it's there, and anytime I want to log into XAMPP, I just click on that. So I'm going to close this out and show you that that works. Just click right there, and it boots up XAMPP. Those turn green automatically because of the setting we changed earlier. And then I'm going to click the close. Even though it says close, I'm not really closing it. I'm just minimizing it to my tray here. I'm just closing out the interface, but the servers are still running. So I close that down, and you'll see that here it is right here. I like to move it into this little part here. Okay. And then if I want to log into the database, now it works just fine. So that's it for 1550 students. Now you are 100% set up and ready to go for the rest of the semester. See you in class or in an online video.